It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Hey everyone, it's me and Weezes.
Hey guys, what's good?
Today we're finally gonna do our P Diddy Part 2 episode. Last time we focused a lot on the conspiracy side, and we will still cover that, of course, because you know us. But we're really gonna cover the case itself and the timeline of leading up to right now, I guess, right?
And just people involved, or...
So let's go back to... Everyone knows who Cassie is, right? You probably don't. But it's beep, 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 boop, boop. You know? you know what I'm talking about? But that's how everyone's gonna know her by that song. Anyways, so her and P. Diddy were dating for well over a decade. And in 2023, she came forward with all these allegations against him. And so now he's being accused, and he has charges for, racketeering and sexual trafficking and so on. So,
and assault. Don't forget assault.
Yeah, he's not a good guy. He's not the guy everyone thought he was.
But people are like, oh my God, but it's P. Diddy. He runs New York. So who cares?
Who cares what he runs, dude? Not us. Not us. Anyways, so we'll start with our timeline. So let's go back to November 16th, 2023. This is when Cassie's lawsuit comes to... What's the word I'm looking for? Comes to light. There we go. Yeah. So she has a civil suit against him saying that he was basically manipulative, coercive, romantic and sexual relationship type of stuff. That's what he set up for her in the workplace. So he was actually her boss at one point, right? So in the lawsuit... Keep in mind, I did post it on our link tree so you guys can look at all her stuff. We will do an episode specifically just on Cassie and her lawsuit itself, but it brings it into all this. So there's super graphic descriptions in her lawsuit saying that how he beat her and kicked her regularly, leaving black eyes, bruises, and making her bleed all the time.
And also would make her perform sexual fantasies, or his sexual fantasies.
Yeah, so that was one of the big things. So what everyone knows now is what P. Diddy calls freak-offs, and that's what he would call it with Cassie. So in her lawsuit, it specifically describes this too, how he told her it was one of his fantasies to see her have sexual intercourse with another man, basically. And
homie's a cuck.
Yeah, literally. And so at first she was like, oh, I don't know, and then she was like, okay, whatevs, right? I love you, so I'll do it. So it wasn't just random people either. He was actually hiring sex workers from all over the place, and eventually it became her responsibility to find them and hire them. And his staff knew about it because he was taking her to hotels and stuff like that, and they were renting out it's not like they just went to the Days Inn or Quality Inn downtown. They were staying at nice hotels.
The Quintana Inn. Yeah. I rented the ballroom floor.
Yeah, so they were staying at nice hotels, and his staff had to get the room set up for him before he got there, and they were required to put baby oil and Astroglide in there, dude. So he knew what he was doing. It's not like it was an accident that he flew in a sex worker from across the country, you know. And then he would so they would wear masks apparently, masquerade type of masks, you know.
Squid Game type of deal.
Yeah, and him and Cassie both would wear them, and then he would sit in the corner, literally, or sit wherever, film it, and then masturbate while watching her do the stuff. But she wouldn't just do it. He would make her do specific things. He would order her to rub oil all over herself and pour it all over, and then what to do with her hands, when to grab this other man.
So when you're playing those games that make that your choices have consequences, that's what he was doing.
Yeah, literally. So he was telling her exactly what to do. She accused him of sexual abuse and rape, and claimed that many of the incidents that happened were witnessed by all his peeps, his gang that he always has around with him, and that obviously not any of them were willing to step forward and say anything because they're all loyal to Diddy. So they were just afraid that they would be put on blast because P. Diddy took their manhood, allegedly, stuff like that. But his close friends, we read something about another famous person at one point where his close friends were all in on it and they didn't say anything. That's literally it. It's his close friends are we're loyal to him. We ain't saying anything. We get paid. We just hear he's our friend.
We like to party.
Yeah, literally. So they don't come forward and say anything. We talked about this in a previous episode about how it was one of our conspiracy episodes about how apparently P Diddy was responsible for blowing up Kid Cudi's car. We talked about it. I can't remember when, but in the papers that Cassie put in with the court, it specifically says in there, he caught her talking to Kid Cudi. He got pissed about it. And he told her specifically, like, I'm going to blow his car up then, like, and this is your fault. And he did. Like, the car got blown up, and allegedly he did. There's not proof that it was him. It's just he said, she said. But that was a conspiracy theory for a while. And Cassie herself said, like, no, it was him. He told me. Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So it gets crazy, right? The worst part about all this is the next day, like, after she filed this paperwork in a court, this lawsuit, they settled for an undisclosed amount, and then just like called it a day, like this didn't happen.
P Diddy called up Kid Cudi and he was like, "Hey yo, how much your car worth? 50? Word. I'm about to send you 80 right now."
Not Kid Cudi and P Diddy.
Oh,
Cassie and P Diddy.
Cassie and P Diddy.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, that throws,
even worse.
That throws a whole different ball game into this, right? Like that makes it like it's just really intense because
she was like, "I need to buy a house and it costs 500,000, but if you send me $1 million, I'll forgive you."
Yeah, it was probably a ton of money. I don't know. But I think it's crazy that she came forward and then just the next day was like, okay. Like, I understand she just wants to heal and get past it, but it's just, like, crazy. Then that brings us between November and December 2023, the same time as Cassie, like, filed the lawsuit, right? There were a lot more people coming forward. So in those weeks after, he was accused of sexual assault by multiple people dating all the way back to 1991.
Oh man,
crazy, right?
1991. That's when the shit started getting reported. But imagine all that stuff in between there. Mm-hmm. That time and when he was already having his own brand and his own record label.
Well, and people that don't really remember or have like the best recollection of exactly what happened because of the alleged drugs, So one lawsuit that was filed was anonymously filed by a woman who claimed that P. Diddy and another man coerced her into sex. Another one was by a woman named Joy Dickerson Neal, accused him of drugging and sexually assaulting her when she was a college student in 1991. She also claimed he filmed the attack and showed it to a ton of people without asking her.
Ooh.
A third woman, her name's Liza, filed court papers accusing P. Diddy and another man of raping her and her friend more than 30 years ago when she was only 16. She also said that he had turned violent days after the whole attack, and he choked her out so hard that she passed out. Yeah. And so in the lawsuit, she had stated that Diddy had become like super pissed while trying to track down her friend because he was worried that she was going to tell the girl he was with at the time. And I'll put that in quotes. And I don't know who the girl at the time was, but that's what he was worried about.
He's like, I don't want her to find out that I'm a monster.
Exactly. And all of these lawsuits came like right before the expiration of the New York Adult Survivors Act, which temporarily allowed people who said they had been sexually abused to file charges or claims even after the statute of limitations had expired. So they were able to get them in before that expired, which is good.
For sure.
Of course, P. Diddy denied all allegations, and his spokesperson said that the lawsuits are just a money grab, and people are just saying this because they want to make it, a quick dime, basically.
He's like, nah, y'all know me. I'm that dude. I'm that guy. I run New York. I run these streets, and then
everyone's like, no, actually, we've seen you do some pretty bad stuff. So in December 2023, another woman claimed that she was sex trafficked and gang raped by P. Diddy and the former Bad Boys Records president, Harvey Pierre.
Oof.
And another man, which the name wasn't stated, in 2003, and she was only 17 at the time. So in the court papers, the woman who wanted to go as Jane Doe, alleged that she was given, and I quote, copious amounts of drugs and alcohol before the attack and was left in so much pain that she could barely stand or even remember how she got home.
Oh, man.
Yeah. In response, P. Diddy said he did not do any of the awful things alleged, while Harvey, I think that's how you say it, he said that these are disgusting allegations and false and just a false and desperate attempt for financial gain. They just wanted money. So that's just what they keep saying. And then on December 6th of that year, 2023, This is when P. Diddy writes this big thing, enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my career, destroy my reputation, and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth.
He's like, I'm fighting for my life.
Yeah, that's what he did. So he posts that. Well, then, February 2024, more accusations pour in. And after I'm done reading the timeline, we will hit on this one a little bit more because this is like the accusations of grooming type thing. And this is from a music producer named Rodney Jones Jr. He produced 9 tracks on the 2023 album. It's called The Love. He accused P. Diddy of unwanted sexual contact and forcing him to hire prostitutes and participate in sex acts with them.
Damn, that's crazy. He's like, he was inviting him to the freak off, and he's like, you gonna sleep with all these women? He's like, nah, well, I'm gonna have to sleep with you then.
Well, they didn't even say women sex workers either, so it could have been other men, it could have been whatever. Yeah. Exactly, so it could be whatever. So, in the court papers filed in New York, Ronnie Jones also claimed that P. Diddy tried to groom him into having sex with another man, telling him that it was, and I quote, a normal practice in the music industry. This is getting crazier and crazier, right?
Oh, man.
So then P. Diddy's lawyer called Mr. Jones, and I quote, nothing more than a liar, and described his claims as a pure fiction that could be discredited by, and I quote again, overwhelming, indisputable proof.
Oh, man.
It just gets crazier and crazier, doesn't it?
It's hard to deny when it's more than one person, There's literally, like, we'll say crazy number, like 30, 40 people coming out and that aren't part of the court case saying, like, this stuff happened.
Yeah, and everyone has kind of the same story. Like, he drugged and raped and, did this. He tried to get me to have sex with another man. Yeah, and then they're like, didn't happen.
Multiple people, multiple men, multiple women. It's like, come on.
So you're saying people who were, 15, 16 years old back in 1991, so that makes them 20 years older than me. And they're coming forward saying no. And they're 50 years old. You think they're just out here lying for fun, Right.
They imagine the trauma they went through, all for this guy to be like, nah, they just wanted some money. They lying.
Mm-hmm. So then it gets even worse. So May 17th, 2024, this is when the Cassie assault video actually leaked. So there was CCTV footage that emerged showing P. Diddy assaulting Cassie in the hallway of a hotel in Los Angeles. And this was back in 2016 that the footage was from. So the pictures, which were on CNN, showed a man who was definitely P. Diddy, pushing Cassie to the floor, kicking her while she was on the ground, and then attempting to drag her and back to the room and, like, throwing objects at her. So then a day later, P. Diddy gets on Instagram, posts a video, and he says, I take full responsibilities for my actions in that video. I was disgusted then when I did it, and I'm disgusted now. And I'm like, you literally yesterday said she was a dumb lying liar and that you never did anything. But now there's a video and he's like, well, okay, so I got caught. So I lied. And it's like, we knew it, dude. And this proves everything. You know what I mean?
He's like, I'm sorry for my actions. I hope you guys can forgive me. And I'm going to therapy to fix my problems.
Mm-hmm. He literally said that. Like, he was going to therapy. He was trying to fix himself. Blah, blah, blah. So then later on, Cassie had posted, like, a statement saying that, like, this is a lifelong impact. Like, domestic violence is not a joke. And I quote, she said, it broke me down to someone I never thought I would become. And, like, as a survivor of domestic violence, it's true. Like, you literally, mine wasn't nearly as bad as hers. Not that I'm comparing, like, hers was way worse. But, I mean, still, like, it makes you into a person that you don't even recognize. And that's what people aren't realizing here. They're like, oh, well, he said sorry and he paid her. That doesn't even matter. Like, she's changed forever, and it's horrible.
The brain chemistry in her head is completely different from how she was.
Mm-hmm.
The dopamine levels, everything, it's not hitting the same.
Everything's changed.
We're not therapists, so we're just saying.
We're just saying what we've read.
Yeah.
So then, May 21st, 2024, a former model sues him. So, a model and actress named Crystal McKinney accused P. Diddy of drugging her and forcing her to perform oral sex in the bathroom of a New York City recording studio back in 2003. 2 days later, P. Diddy was also sued again by a woman named April, who alleged 4 instances of sexual assault between 1995 and 2000.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
He just kept on coming back.
Yeah, like he just didn't stop. So she claimed that she met the musician in 1994 when she was a student at the Fashion Institute of Technology, and that an initially romantic relationship, quote, quickly turned into an aggressive, coercive, and abusive relationship based on sex. In one incident, she claimed that the star forced her to take ecstasy and have sex with his then girlfriend. So then in July 2024, I'm like 2020, there's too many 2020s. So in July 2024, P. Diddy still is claiming that he's innocent as the 8th lawsuit is then filed, dude. And that's when an adult film star, Audrey English, I'm not sure how to say her first name.
Write that down, boys, write that down.
But anyways, she claimed that she was groomed into sex trafficking over time in a number of events between 2004 and 2009 at one of his, like, huge white parties, you know, his star-studded famous parties that everyone sees. So his lawyer responded, no matter how many lawsuits are filed, it won't change the fact that Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted or sex trafficked anyone.
Man, he was there.
His lawyer gonna feel real stupid.
Yeah, people will die for this guy before they believe that he actually did this stuff.
Mm-hmm. But why? That's what I don't get. Is it
dude,
just the money?
Money talks, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about how money runs the world and all this stuff, but like, I guess, people believe in God and all this stuff, but maybe people make money their God, and that's how that ends up happening.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see it. So then, next up on the list, dude, September 10th, 2024 comes around. He does not show up to a court hearing. So he failed to attend a virtual court hearing. So it's virtual, bro. Just do it on your phone. Like, he fails to attend a virtual hearing for a lawsuit filed against him by Derek Lee Cardeo Smith, a Michigan inmate who claimed that P. Diddy drugged and sexually assaulted him at a party in Detroit in 1997. So he was just running wild in the 90s, dude. The no-show led to a default judgment against P. Diddy, who was ordered to pay Mr. Cardeo Smith $100 million.
That's it?
$100 million is a lot for an inmate, too?
Chump change, homie.
For an inmate, bro? I'm surprised he got a settlement at all. That's so much money. And then, but keep in mind, the judgment was set aside later because the lawyers filed an appeal and whatever. I don't know what ended up happening. I don't know if this Derek guy ever got his money. I have no idea.
Imagine they're like, yeah, you got $100 million coming to you. Never comes.
And then they're like, actually, his money talks again. Doesn't have to give you a penny.
He's like, actually, he hired a better lawyer, and yeah, I'm sorry, you lost.
I'm sorry, but you can't have money now.
Yeah, you can't have your money now, and you're actually going to jail now. It's like, what?
I'm already in jail, bro. What do you mean? So then, September 11th, 2024, Don Richard. I don't know if you ever remember that show that P. Diddy had, like, Making the Band or whatever it was.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so it was on MTV. Well, and then he had a girl band named Danity Kane. And, like, I'll have to show you some of their songs later because they were, like, fun little songs, Anyways, Dawn Richard, she was a former singer of the group that P. Diddy ran. She filed a lawsuit against him. She said that he sexually assaulted her on multiple occasions, touching her body, and as well as verbally abusing and overworking her.
Damn,
crazy, right?
So he's like, you're going to dance for me, and I'm going to put you a 12-hour work shift tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Literally.
We'll make that 18. Nice.
Yeah, he was just like every single day had her doing everything. So then September 16th, just 5 days later, this is when P. Diddy gets arrested. So he was arrested in his Manhattan hotel room, and then his lawyers said that the star had cooperated with authorities and voluntarily relocated to New York in anticipation of the charges. And I quote, "These are the acts of an innocent man with nothing to hide, and he looks forward to clearing his name in court," he added. That's what his lawyer said. So then the next day, charges and details of the freak-offs were all revealed, dude. And this is where, look how much, this is where things get crazy. So he was charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution, which is where we were talking about earlier, how he's flying people in from all over the place to have sex with Cassie in front of him.
And I wouldn't doubt he was probably flying in girls and guys from, like,
all over.
Different countries.
Oh yeah, I could see it.
Not just the state.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
yes.
allegedly. But yeah, I could totally see that, dude.
Mail order bride. He was like, sign me up.
Sign me up. That's my kind of woman.
How many can I order? 50? That's it.
So in an indictment that was unsealed at the same time, prosecutors alleged that he also engaged in kidnapping, forced labor, bribery, and some other crimes, dude.
Damn,
So,
slavery?
basically forced labor, yeah. So they described him as the head of a criminal enterprise that abused women, using threats of violence to force them into participating in drug-fueled orgies with male prostitutes. The freak-offs were elaborated and produced sex performances is what they're calling them. So, and they were highly organized parties. They weren't just like, oh, what if we just had a freak-off right now? How silly would that be? Like, they were like premeditated freak-offs, you know? So P Diddy's friends would allegedly like book hotel suites, recruit sex workers, distribute drugs, including cocaine, meth, oxycodone, and whatnot, to coerce partygoers into sex and to keep them obedient, so that they had to listen. His staff also allegedly arranged travel for the victims and organized the supply of intravenous fluids. That way they could recover nicely from the parties, you know. I wish someone would give me fluids after I was drunk, but it's okay.
Dude, he's like, I know I just put you through those 20-hour sex shift, but I need you for tomorrow. So here's your IV, here's some medicine, and I hope you recover.
Yeah. So, if convicted, P Diddy will face a sentence of 15 to life in prison. But that's like different, because when I was reading about the charges, the racketeering charges alone could get him life in prison, and then the sex trafficking charges could get him 15. So, like, each thing that he's getting charged with will be a different time. So he could spend life in prison. If he doesn't get out of this, which I hope he doesn't. So his lawyer then is still declaring that P. Diddy is innocent and described the freak-offs as consensual. So he's not even denying the freak-offs anymore. He's just being like, what? They were consensual. Why is everyone freaking out?
Everyone that was there wanted to be there. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
He literally, his words are, and I quote, "Is it sex trafficking? Not if everyone wants to be there." That's exactly what he said.
This lawyer was at the parties for sure.
No, he was there, dude. He had to be, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
So he pled guilty to the charges. He's still saying he didn't. But he was also denied bail after they said that he has a significant, like, flight risk because, like, bro, he's going to leave if he gets out. Like,
that and he's a danger to society.
Well, they don't think that. No, they're just making the argument that he's a flight risk. So
I'm just saying he's a danger to society.
Oh, yeah, he is. He is. Like, what's he going to do? Come after every single person who, like, has filed a lawsuit? Because, like, well, that's scary. Like, that's super scary.
I mean, he's the type that he would, though. That's the thing. Allegedly.
They've also reported that he's already tried to obstruct the government's investigation by repeatedly contacting victims and witnesses and feeding them false narrative of events. So, like, exactly what we said, he is contacting people. The judge decided that the star's anger issues... Okay, hold on. I'm going to read this differently. The judge said that P. Diddy's anger issues and history of substance abuse as reasons for keeping him detained until trial. That's what she said. She was like, or he, whoever the judge is, they were like, he gonna run. Plus, he's mad and he does drugs. No, he's staying put. The judge also said, like, my biggest concern is that this is a crime that, like, happens behind closed doors. It's not something that everyone can see and report. Like, this has been happening behind closed doors and it's gonna keep happening. So if I let him out, what's gonna happen in that meantime? You know what I mean? Yeah. And his lawyers. Well, his lawyers. So kind of that actually
same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. His lawyers have been like repeatedly. They've appealed the decision. They've been trying to be like, come on, please. We'll place him on house arrest. He'll have a complete private like team of security with him at all times. And they were like, no.
No.
No means no. That's literally what it's like. Like, stop asking, bro. No.
It's just like, Yolanda, can I get out? No!
So guess when his court date is, though? Because his trial is coming up May 5th. So we will have more answers by then.
Dude, this guy wants to settle things in court on my mom's birthday, which we're going to have some beef.
Well, he's going to ruin Cinco de Mayo for everyone. Or make it better, depending on how the case goes. Yeah. So anyways, So then September 24th, 2024 comes around. The 11th lawsuit comes about. Isn't this insane? Like, it just keeps coming. So he served with a new lawsuit from a woman who claims that he and his bodyguard drugged, bound, and violently raped her in 2001 and later showed a video of the attack to others. So it's the same thing. So, all these people are coming forward with similar stories in different spots with different people. Like, how is it a lie? It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't seem like it could be a lie for all these people to come forward.
It's like, they always say, or what they're saying is like, you're just a liar, but then they have a video on their phone of that person.
Yeah.
And them doing that stuff to that person.
And they're like, well, yeah.
Well, so, you're just a liar, and I don't believe you.
All these videos have to come to light eventually. Someone's gonna find them.
I would think that too, Miranda, but it's just gonna be lost media.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they find them someday to use for the case. But so as of October 1st, 2024, there's been more than 100 new assault allegations filed against him.
So I want you guys to know, it went from 11 to 100.
Yeah, over 100.
Over 100 in just the spur of the moment. Yeah.
So a lawyer said that more than 100 people plan to sue P Diddy for sexual assault, rape, and sexual exploitation. Tony Busby said he was representing 120 people, half of them who are men and 25 who are minors. Not are minors, were minors. One of the people who has come forward was 9 years old at the time of the allegation.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So then October 14th, 2024, which is just literally 13 days after what I just told you, 6 new lawsuits, including from teens. So it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse still. Mr. Combs and his legal team have full confidence in the facts, their legal defenses, and the integrity of the judicial process. This is what his attorneys say. Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted anyone, adult or minor, man or woman. And that's when he starts saying that. So then, October 15th, 2024, there's only a couple months left, guys, but this is where things start to get real juicy. Like, stuff is starting to really take off. Another lawsuit at this point says that it accuses P. Diddy of raping a woman as payback for her suggestion that he was involved in killing Tupac. And everyone, like, in our conspiracy videos, we talk about him being responsible for Tupac and Biggie. I'm pretty sure Biggie's mom feels the same, and she hates P. Diddy because, like, he's literally been making money off of Biggie longer than Biggie was even alive, So that gets a little crazy there. So a girl named Ashley filed the lawsuit. It said she was raped by multiple people, including P. Diddy, because he was angered about the Tupac comment. She said that P. Diddy had a knife, held it to the right side of her face, and threatened to give her a Glasgow smile in retaliation for her previous statements. So obviously, Tupac's murder has never been fully solved, although, like, when was it, last year or the year before, like, Dwayne Davis was charged in the case and whatnot, but, like, they still don't have the full story of what happened. So Mr. Davis, his trial actually was set to begin in March 2025, and I didn't hear anything about that, so we should actually look in to see if the Tupac trial thing even happened. Again, October 21st, 2024, more lawsuits just keep getting filed. So it's just hitting again. 29th of October, 2 more filed. One victim was 10 at the time.
Man.
Exactly. And the one with the alleged victim who was 10 at the time. Then we've got the second that alleged that P. Diddy assaulted a teenage boy who was auditioning for Making the Band, which we were just talking about. And his lawyer still keeps coming with the same comment. He's never sexually assaulted or trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. That is literally just the exact words they keep giving. So then we'll go a month into the future. We'll hit November 2024. New lawsuit targets Diddy and his attorney. So 5 more anonymous lawsuits were filed against P. Diddy on November 19th from 3 men and 2 women. The suits center on allegations of sexual assault at parties, with at least 2 of them outlining rape accusations from P. Diddy himself. 2 additional lawsuits were also filed, both against a lawyer who has filed a large share of the civil lawsuits against P. Diddy. One of the lawsuits against Tony Busby, a Texas-based attorney who says he represents more than 100 of the victims, alleged that he attempted to extort the plaintiff, an unnamed and I quote, high-profile individual by threatening to make public, and I quote again, entirely fabricated and malicious allegations of sexual assault. So, in court documents that, like, the news obtained, the plaintiff identified himself as a former associate of Diddy and acknowledged attending events with him. So, in the second lawsuit, an unnamed woman alleged that he was abusive towards women. Like, so, literally, all of this, I could read all freaking 200 of these, and all of them are the same. Right?
Yeah.
So, then a third attempt, this is at the end of November, Diddy was denied bail for a third time, right? And the judge said that there, and I quote, is evidence supporting a serious risk of witness tampering. So the judge doesn't trust him not to start trying to pay people off. Is literally, and like he's already been trying to reach out to them. So then we come to the end of November 20. So this is November 29th, 2024. And keep in mind, guys, this is not even 6 months ago at this point. Like, this just happened. A fashion designer named Brianna filed a lawsuit against P. Diddy that he threatened to kill her and dangled her over a 17th floor balcony. So she said she worked on several projects for him, and she even witnessed what she described as disturbing signs of an abusive relationship between P. Diddy and Cassie, including a fight where he threw a large kitchen knife at her, and then in self-defense she threw one back, were her words. She said that P. Diddy started, like, directing his rage towards her and assaulted her after a sleepover at Cassie's apartment. And then during the altercation, she said that he lifted her up higher and higher over the 17th floor balcony of Cassie's apartment with only his own grip, P. Diddy, keeping her from falling to her death. And he just held her over the edge.
God,
that's crazy, right?
Imagine just staring death right in the face and then being like, I'm just playing with you.
Gotcha. Yeah. So then on December 8th of 2024, which is just a week later, then we have the case that comes forward of Jay-Z being named as the co-defendant in a rape case of a 13-year-old girl. So him and P. Diddy are being accused. Which is super sad news about that is that the lawsuit against them both was dismissed. And the attorney representing the anonymous girl, who they called Jane Doe, obviously she's anonymous, voluntarily withdrew her case.
Man,
sounds
Jay-Z,
a bit sus
Jay-Z rolled
to me.
up on her and being like, I'll give you how many mils for you to back off this case right now.
Allegedly. Yeah. Isn't this insane?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it really a crazy thing to just be experiencing all of this in real life? Like, how has it gone on this long? I guess, like we keep saying, money is power, dude.
Yeah, money is, and I got a theory. You know, there was allegedly Beyonce and Jay-Z, they lost a combined of 4 million followers right after all this came out, you know, in relation with Jay-Z and P. Diddy.
Yeah.
But according to, you know, more than one article that I read and a couple videos that I saw, is that Jay-Z had a bunch of bot followers. You know, he probably paid some companies just to give him some followers, and he lost all those. And Beyonce did lose like 2 million just like right off the bat. But like in literally it was 4 days, she just gained them back.
That's crazy.
But, you know, why would that happen right after this came out in the Jay-Z case? Like,
yeah.
People went on the mass, like, unfollow spree? Or, like, what happened there? Like, why did that happen with...
Literally, like, days after the accusation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. You know, talking about Beyonce and Jay-Z, it just gets crazier. So, at this point, there's a man who's accusing P. Diddy of, guess what? Sexual assault claims, right? And they say that, or the guy says that he was like paraded around P. Diddy's house while being made to wear a penis mask. And he encountered, while he was in there, Beyonce, Jay-Z, LeBron James, and a few other celebrities whose names I'm about to mention. So the accuser's name is Joseph Manzaro. He says that he was drugged and taken to a home on Star Island, which is in Miami, owned by Gloria and Emilio Estefan from, so for, not from, and this was for King's birthday, you know, P. Diddy's son.
Yeah.
And this was back in April 2015. So what was hard for me at first was when we're going through all the allegations, everything kept being like, oh, back in 1991 and, you know, back in this. But these ones are recent. So keep in mind, and so were Cassie's. So this was back in April 2015. So when he got there, He claims that Gloria saw him in a, and I quote, deteriorating state, and told someone to call an ambulance, but then her husband, Emilio, allegedly, shooed her away. And then Manzaro said that he briefly saw LeBron James walking in the hallway, and LeBron said, y'all better do something about that, is what Joseph states, right? So the complaint also says that he was taken via an underground tunnel. He literally put this in his report. That he was taken via an underground tunnel to Combs Mansion by the former porn star who we were talking about earlier, Adria English, who is also now a named defendant in this suit. So they're going after her now, too.
Oh, man. So she was against P. Diddy, but then she was like, actually?
Yeah, so this was when she was back in the day when she was around, right? So then he said that in the complaint, he said that he had, regained partial consciousness and was just kind of in and out. And when he, was semi-conscious, he woke up in a room with Jay-Z and Beyonce, and she, or one of the two, expressed, why the heck is there a half-naked man with a sex toy strapped to his face standing in front of me, is kind of, what they said about Beyonce, I don't know if Jay-Z said that or if Beyonce herself said it, but that's what he remembers. So this is all alleged. Keep in mind, the case hasn't been proven or anything. So one of the other defendants named in the suit allegedly responded that it was, and I quote, a punishment, and that Diddy wants him to see what we do to snitches.
Man.
It gets worse. The suit alleges that P. Diddy later specifically ordered that Manzaro be degraded in front of the others at the party before the plaintiff was stripped. The plaintiff being Joe. Was stripped and then dressed in a thong and a black leather mask with a rubber dam forcibly inserted and zipped closed over his head. So, and I quote, a locking sex device was affixed to the mask, which protruded from his mouth. Plaintiff was then subjected to degrading and non-consensual acts. So they tied him up and did all this stuff, put that mask on him and a dildo on his face and all that, and then essayed him, I'm assuming, or made him do stuff.
Yeah.
Is what he's saying. I don't have the court paperwork, so I can't see exactly what he said. This is just from the articles I found. So, at this point, Manzaro claimed that he later came across Jacob Arabo, a well-known jeweler, and expressed confusion before Emilio Estefan allegedly instructed the men escorting Manzaro to move him away from the jeweler. The suit further claims that Gloria again requested an ambulance, but was silenced again by Emilio. So they describe this event as one of the freak-offs in, the paperwork.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, it just keeps going and going.
Keeps on getting worse and worse.
Yes, literally. Keeps on getting worse and worse. But 1 month ago, so his trial is on May 5th. This happened 4 weeks ago. More charges came forward against him. And they said that it adds 4 accusers to testify against him. And this just happened a month ago. So now he has a month to, prepare to, lie, allegedly, about what he did to these people. So, other than the new charges, let's talk about Rodney Jones Jr. for a bit. Because, we briefly mentioned him earlier when we had first started, right? And how he worked on, the 2023 album with him. So, I'm just going to kind of tell you what the lawsuit says. It's 105 pages, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to give you the cliff notes, basically.
Yeah.
But what Rodney says is that in his complaint, it says he has irrefutable evidence of the acquisition, use, and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms. B, the displaying and distribution of unregistered illegal firearms. And C, the solicitation of minors and sex workers. And he says he has the proof of it all. So according to Rodney Jones, he alleges that P. Diddy reached out to him in 2022 to help produce his songs. And he claims to have that the work that P. Diddy required of him went far beyond just producing music. He said that he was tasked with procuring drugs, soliciting sex workers to, and I quote, perform sex acts to the pleasure of Mr. Combs. Jones also says that he also required him to tape these sex acts, and that Combs would often threaten to inflict bodily harm on him if he did not comply. He also says that P. Diddy kept, and I quote again, specific bottles of alcohol designated for the females on hand. And another quote, according to Mr. Jones, Mr. Combs forced all the women to drink laced de Leon liquor. Upon information and belief, P. Diddy laced the liquor with ecstasy. So he also said that P. Diddy left him alone in a makeshift studio on a yacht with Cuba Gooding Jr., who he said then began touching, groping, and fondling his upper thighs near his groin. He said Gooding did not stop until he forcibly pushed him away.
Doesn't make sense how everything all of a sudden is starting to connect.
Yeah. Now let's talk about weird things that have happened since P. Diddy was arrested. So, one is that the Michael Jackson court case was reopened. And not the case on his death, but the case about, like, the sexual assault of kids or minors. That was reopened all of a sudden, which is weird.
Keep in mind, it's 2 kids, but there could have been more.
This is the weird one. This is even weirder for me, is that Whitney Houston's death case is reopened. So they're going to reopen the case of her actual death itself. Nothing that happened before.
Oh, man.
And, you know, we just talked about this on our last week's episode with the Brittany Murphy stuff, is that Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston had the same coroner as Kim Porter, who's Diddy's wife that mysteriously died.
And then that coroner also died.
Yeah, but now they're reopening the cases?
Well, I think they might have, you know how back then, you know how they used to save samples of like DNA and skin and stuff like that because they didn't have the technology to prove like all that stuff,
yeah,
or test it out. And what if now they do, and they have evidence enough to where they can use it against the people?
Someone?
Yeah.
I hope they do. I hope they have like better testing now, and they are gonna be able to use it against whoever did something.
Because again, it was Whitney Houston, her daughter, and her husband that died.
Yeah, that's just like too many coincidences, huh?
Right. In the span of like her daughter died the year after her, and then the husband died a couple months after that. So yeah. it connects somehow.
Well, and then one other thing, which is like I said, guys, this is just conspiracy theory and just talking, right? But in Rodney Jones' case, he talks about like pink cocaine and how like Diddy likes to give pink cocaine to people. And apparently pink cocaine is a recreational drug that is typically a mix of several drugs, including meth, ketamine, MDMA, and other stuff. So, well, the reason that comes into play is because when Liam Payne passed away recently, they said that he had pink cocaine in his system, and that's what gave him, because when they pulled it, he had multiple drugs, and it was all the stuff that's typically in pink cocaine.
Oh, man, he was power tripping.
Yeah, but they, like, and this is just on these conspiracy pages I follow, right? They said that, like, one of the main people who is known for giving people pink cocaine at parties is P. Diddy, and then Liam Payne just happened to have some the day he died.
And then Liam Payne happened to meet up with P. Diddy a week before he died.
Weird, right?
That is weird.
Yeah, so everything's a little sus.
All right, Miranda, let me cover something that you said. You said that, was it Rodney or Joseph that passed through a secret tunnel?
Yeah, that was Joseph.
That was Joseph. All right, so there's conspiracy theories that, all right, let me hit you guys with a couple, because there is a couple when you look them up, and a bunch of them are debunked, but there is a secret tunnel under P. Diddy's house. It may not be connected to Michael Jackson's house or the shipping yard, but there is a secret tunnel. And when the FBI did the raids in one of those tunnels, they found children's clothing, and you know, who knows what was going on there. But there's the other theory that apart from the secret tunnel, the secret tunnel led under that, and it was connected to P. Diddy's room to the outside. How I see it, it was like how to get people in without noticing, without them knowing where they were, basically.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's like some like fake stuff that you would read in a book or see in a movie, and this is like really happening right in front of everybody.
And you know, it that fits in with exactly what you said about Joseph, how they brought him in through a secret tunnel.
Yeah.
And then,
where's the secret tunnel coming and going from besides his house? Like, it's not just, there's just like a really deep basement is basically what they're trying to act like, or is there like a tunnel leading to and from something? Because that's what it would seem like.
Yeah, what I would assume is that you know how you have when the police come and then you take the secret tunnel and it leads you to somewhere. They say like like I said, a mile out of the house, so no one can find you.
And then you're like, check me at the time. I was in this coffee shop a mile away.
Yeah, exactly.
Like something like that. Or they were bringing something in that they really shouldn't be bringing in.
Exactly. They, you know that baby oil. There's another conspiracy theory, assuming that it's MDMA, and that's the legal way of them to be able to transfer all that stuff.
Yeah.
Without people knowing, and MDMA does have the same consistency as baby oil. Like it's oily.
Yeah. Or they could like even get it
Slippery.
and like mix it down with an oil because.
And you know how he said they gave the bottles that had ecstasy to the girls. Well, I mean, you can just add some MDMA to the alcohol and then they would never know.
But yeah, so either way, like that totally could be like the best way for them to lace it is through the baby oil. It brought back that freaking memory when you said that. I was like, wait a second. I saw someone talking about it and it had to have been, it was probably Jaguar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And those videos are interesting.
Yeah,
I would recommend taking a look at
she says
them.
a lot of truths or a lot of facts allegedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't believe when people start shouting and stuff like that. You just like, nah, she's just going off the deep end. But then she says all that stuff, and then all this stuff starts coming out in all these cases and all these articles. Everything just starts coming out slowly, right?
Well, now that I looked that up, I'm literally just reading one quote off of this entire article. And it says, and I quote, "There are also allegations of Combs dousing victims in lotions or similar body oils laced with GHB so that the drug would be absorbed through the victim's skin and make it easier to take advantage of, exploit, and or assault him or her."
Oh, man.
Yeah. And it says, while she didn't mention the baby oil in her complaint, earlier this month her lawyer claimed in an interview that P. Diddy had squirted some type of lubricant or oil onto her client, leading to her body becoming more and more limp. So you put all the pieces together, and that's exactly what it's got to be.
Yeah.
Well, and then that phone call between him and his son was super creepy, where he was like since he's been in jail, they released a recording of him being like, "Throw the pizza boxes away. Did you get rid of all the pizza boxes?" Weird stuff like that. And it's like, Oh, and on top of that, Ellen was has been in the talks because her and P. Diddy were like best buddies. She left the country. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher have said they are leaving the country, but there's not been any proof that they actually did yet. But this is the one that threw me, is that Leonardo DiCaprio left the country. And him and P. Diddy are known to be like buddies. And there's hundreds of pictures released of him at this point at the white parties.
Well, there's even a picture of Leonardo DiCaprio naked with two other guys, and then P. Diddy's just there in the chair watching.
Well, and then you like think about today's version of Leo, and it's him like with all these young girlfriends, and like that shit that he sent to that girl where he was like, "Ooh, you're not 24 anymore or 25," whatever he freaking said, like, "Oh, if you're over 24, I can't talk to you anymore. That sucks." And he means it. Like, he just keeps leaving people and then going to like 19, 20-year-olds, and he's old. Like, he's as old as my stepdad. You know what I mean? Like, like that's sick.
Yeah, it's just a predator.
Yeah, he's literally a predator.
All right.
And if he's best buds with Diddy, all makes sense, huh?
Yeah. All right, let me guys hit you with
Allegedly.
allegedly. Let me hit you with another theory. Is that I know this because you can look this up too. During Michael Jackson's like last moments, he always said that he thought someone was trying to kill him. Someone's out there just looking out for him, trying to get him at his weakest moment. And the thing with Michael Jackson is that he when he died, he was in debt, but his music was worth billions and billions of dollars. His catalog. And the theory that I'm about to tell you guys is that Jay-Z, Beyonce, and P. Diddy allegedly killed Michael Jackson for his catalog.
I could see it, dude. Literally, that like triggered me, so I started looking stuff up already because I'm like, oh, we have to get into this because that would make complete sense. Well, and it's still throwing me for a loop because Jay-Z, Beyonce, and P Diddy would be the 3 people in the world that would have enough money to buy that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and to have control over it. And that would set them up for life, dude. Like, he already has rights to Biggie's music. Now all he needs is someone bigger, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And the king of pop is someone whose music is still played a lot on the radio. People still stream this stuff. People still watch his videos, like timeless classics.
Yeah. All of this is just like, every time we do an episode, I'm like, the story is coming more and more together for us. So imagine like the FBI and stuff who actually can like get into people's phones and have the evidence. Like, it's coming together for us outside, and it's just conspiracy and putting things together. My mind is blown after this episode. I'm just mind blown.
It's just a lot of information coming out at once that hurts your head when you start thinking about this and then you start looking it up.
Well, tell us what you guys think. Leave comments. If you want us to cover anything, let us know. We are going to be coming out with another part to this episode because there's way too much to cover in just one. And
if you're listening to us on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe.
And we out.
Yeehaw, brother.